Tigger's leaf collection is really sweet, educational, and definitely encouraging the viewer to get outdoors and look at nature. I'll talk more about that in a moment, but what I will say is that Tigger is far too much in the foreground. This is the latest me and Winnie vlog, and for some reason, and I can't say for certain this has never been the case in me and Winnie the Pooh, but certainly it stood out to me as being peculiar. Tigger is so much in the foreground that it's almost like the background is a backdrop. There's only one point where he actually is part of the background and we see him jumping on the pavement. Otherwise, it looks like he's standing in front of a green screen. And that's unusual for me and Winnie the Pooh, and it didn't feel right. It felt very different. Maybe if that's all we'd ever had with me and Winnie, it wouldn't have stood out so much, but we're used to the characters interacting with the scenery and walking on the pavements or being, sitting on the ground. But with Tigger, it just looked like he was standing in front of a green screen and they were replacing the backdrops. And it's a small thing to complain about, I'm aware of that, but it just stood out to me as being not the usual style that we get, so it was a little bit jarring, but as I said, there was one point where Tigger bounced back away from the screen and was on the pavement, so that bit looked like what we usually get. But that aside, it is adorable. Over the course of 2 minutes, Tigger shows the viewer various leaves from his collection. He has a book of leaves and he goes around to all of these different trees and he tells the viewer the name of the trees and talks a little bit about them and then shows a leaf from that tree, and it's educational and it's so fun, and it's absolutely a thing I would have loved to have done as a child. I don't think I ever did. Certainly I would collect leaves and glue and stick them to pages and make pretty autumnal patterns, but in terms of actually collecting leaves and having a book about them, I don't remember ever doing that. But I think it's a great way to get children observing their surroundings, learning about leaves, and I think that's a pretty cool hobby to have, and Tigger makes it seem fun and exciting, and if even just one child watches this, or one viewer, and decides to take an active interest in trees and nature, that's pretty brilliant. So that works really well. I like the animation of the leaves, the animation of the backdrops were great. I just wish Tigger wasn't quite so much in the foreground for the majority of this. But that aside, it's really good fun, really educational, and otherwise beautifully animated. So I can't complain too much. Tigger's leaf collection is still pretty great.